Hey,
How you doing?
good.
Yeah.
So the book is pretty sort of a cautionary tale, right? I feel like when they inevitably make it into a movie, it's going to basically be like Requiem for a Dream, but with movies instead of heroin.
No, I don't think. Well, not with the dildo scene in it, though. At the end, no, not in my book, you idiot. In the book, my God. Hang on. If you're live tweeting this, said Patton sexily, I could barely stay in my seat as he. No one's tweeting it. Okay, fine, whatever. That's fine.
But so that part of it was super fun, I thought. Just this notion of you getting so wrapped up in your obsession with movies that you basically cease to function. You describe yourself in the book as a boxing glove with a horseshoe inside it conversationally, because you would just hit people with facts about Billy Wilder.
Yeah, it was that. I mean, I'm sure you've encountered this too, and this goes across the board for everything. People that are sports fanatics, bookworms, even religious fanatics. They don't really talk to you in that they're not expecting or wanting a response from you. They want to unload the paragraph of information that they have. There was Roger Ebert talked about how, and he said he is guilty of this too, and so was I. They'll ask you the question, but they don't want to know if you know it. They want to tell you what they know. Like, you know who originally read for Luke Skywalker? And you're like, I'm sure you're going to tell me. And they just have all this useless knowledge up in their brain, and they got to unload it.
There's this notion in the book of night cafes that I really liked. You refer to your first trip to, not your first trip, but a trip to the New Beverly in '95 to see a Billy Wilder double feature as one of these night cafes in your life. You describe that as the room you enter and then leave having been forever changed. Where did that come from? And you talk about various ones in your life. Do you think that that's something that everyone has, this night cafe in their life?
Yeah, I really do. It came from, I took a class in college, a psychology class, and we did a segment about the art of schizophrenics. When a way to tell if someone's schizophrenic is you look at their art, and there are certain characteristics. And so they were showing us a slideshow of different, art done by schizophrenic patients, and then they put up Van Gogh's The Night Cafe, which has all the characteristics of schizophrenic art in it. And it's an amazing painting. And then I got obsessed with the painting and with Van Gogh.
Oh, really?
I did. I go down these if I like something, that turns into a wormhole. Like, I can't just go, hey, that's nice. I've got to pounce on it and pick it apart. So The Night Cafe was the first painting Van Gogh did from memory. Up to that point, he would only paint what he was looking at, because that could justify, because he was a religious fanatic and he thought that there was something sinful about his pursuit. So Gauguin said, hey, why don't you try painting something from memory? That might unlock some new, and it did. It unlocked all the masterpieces that he did, but it also drove him nuts. So that was an extreme example of, he went into a room in his head, came out with all these new creative powers, but there was something bad came out with him in the bargain and destroyed him. And now I'm talking about very benign things in your life. It doesn't have to be. I mean, you've all gone through it. There's either an actual physical room, or it was an encounter with a person, or a book you read, or something where your life was on this course. You encountered this thing, and then you started going off. If you hadn't encountered it, you would have kept going on the way you are. And I'm talking about it in a very benign way. I'm not talking about, there are other, sadly enough, some night cafes are inside a heroin hypodermic needle, but other night cafes are inside of a great piece of music, or someone you fall in love with, or, just like the perfect moment at 10:03 a.m. in Chicago, and snow is falling, and you're having coffee, and you decide, I'm going to go do this thing I've been, So those are night cafes.
You described 5 of them in your life so far.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something about your personality that makes you particularly open to having these life-changing veer-off-the-road moments? Is there something that is inside you that leaves you more open to that?
I think I think I am more open to that than other people. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a better or worse thing as a person. I had a very, very stable, positive upbringing in the suburbs, and that everything was scheduled and safe. So because I had that drilled in early, that this is all taken care of,
Right here in beautiful Sterling, Virginia.
Right in beautiful Sterling, Virginia. No. So, really not, maybe not maybe now, it's kind of not, but early 70s, no, there was a Pizza Hut and one Pac-Man machine, that was it. Yeah, so because I had nothing but safety and schedule and comfort, then I craved chaos and danger and, just annihilation or risking annihilation.
The way you describe it sounds not that different to me from the way people describe, like, religious visitations. Like, there is that sense of a thing suddenly dawning upon you, like, oh, this is what I should be doing with my life.
Yeah, the road to Damascus moment is another night cafe.
Right.
It's that idea of, I mean, I gave something that has already been described way better by way better writers and poets, just a different name. I just slapped a different name on it. That's all I did.
You can trademark it now, though, and sell T-shirts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They created, someone made Cheetos. Hey, how about cheese doodles? I just made these things up. So change the brand name on it.
It's a knockoff Road to Damascus from Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, I like that. Damn, that's a good book title. All right.
I just had my people trademark it. So there's this bit in the book where you talk about your 20s and what you were like in your 20s and how you had this like total insane drive to be the best at everything that you were doing. You were doing stand-up all the time and comedy all the time at Largo and in that scene. And you were also seeing as many movies as you possibly could because you viewed it as training for your future directorial career. Do you feel like and you have this line that I love, does anyone act more like an over-serious senior citizen with time running out on their chance for immortality than someone in their 20s? Which is a great line, but I wonder, are you totally beyond that now? Do you worry about being 45? Do you have that same like, oh God, time is running out, or do you now feel like at peace with?
I am so at peace. And my mom, who is 70, we were traveling back from Chicago over Christmas, and our plane kept getting delayed. And then I'm trying to get us on another plane, and I'm freaking out because my mom, who is 70, is just like, we'll get home somehow. I think as you get older, there's something about the old people never seem anxious or in a hurry to me. They're the ones that are like, everything will work out. Just calm down. It's when you're in your 20s and you haven't experienced enough failure, and even more importantly, the day after failure where the world didn't end, when the thing didn't work out, then it's as you get older, you go, oh, just trust me, things will work out. So, I'm on the road to, in the process of becoming way calmer. But when I was in my 20s, I was just insufferable. Everything was crucial, and this is the end of the world, and this is so important. And it's like, it's a 10-minute set at the Largo. Why don't you calm down? You're going to be doing a lot of these. Don't worry about it. So, there's a Bob Hope quote where he said, when I was in my 20s, I was worried what everybody thought about me. And then when I was in my 40s, I don't care what anyone thinks about me. Then I hit my 60s and I realized nobody was ever thinking about me. So that was... Yeah. Especially, imagine growing up in L.A. and worrying about what people think about you. Especially, no one is thinking of anybody but themselves in L.A. It's a city of narcissists. So if you think anyone's wasting 2 axions of brain chemistry thinking of you, you're so deluded. It's just, you're in LA, you're weirdly free. You're free amongst the do whatever the hell you want. They don't care. They could see Bob Dylan riding by on a Razor scooter, sipping a Jamba Juice, wearing a Taylor Swift t-shirt, and they're like, I got an audition in 10 minutes. What am I going to do? I got to get this role. So...
You describe this movie binge in the book as your training to become a great filmmaker. And clearly, though you don't sort of hit this hard toward the end of the book after your recovery from your addiction to movies, you clearly are someone who has felt in their life that they could direct a movie. Is that something you're chasing right now?
Yeah, although, again, I'm not, if I was in my 20s, that'd be something I'm chasing. Now I'm just very open to when that opportunity comes along, I'm just going to take it, and my first one will probably be terrible. I'm going to start doing short films. I'll probably be bad. I will now approach it like a much wiser person, the way that now when I approach stand-up, it's like some nights I'm going to go up and it's just going to suck. and other nights it'll click, and that's how I'm going to start learning. So it's weird now that I've gotten rid of all of my paranoid drive and ambition. Now I'm ready to start making movies. It's really weird. It's strange that I thought it would have to be this. I got to be like Scorsese in my 20s, just alternating coffee and cocaine and just being up all night cutting movies. That works for some people, but I think I'm going to be one of those. Isn't it interesting how Patton at 53 directed his first film, and I'm just in my chair going, yeah, that's nice. Okay, good. We'll print that. Can I get some more coffee? Thanks. All right.
So in the book, you describe one of the things that busted you out of this vicious circle. You describe seeing Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
In the theater. The movie's so good it made movie-obsessed Patton Oswalt stop being obsessed with movies.
Yeah, that was the tainted shot of PCP that
right.
I woke up in the emergency room going, I got to rethink my life. But it wasn't even that the movie was so bad. It was that I had all this expectation about it and all of this in my mind, wondering and imagining what the scenes would be. And then the movie came out. It was awful. And by the way, I saw it at midnight the day it came out, and then I saw it at midnight the next day as if I had somehow not, like something had gone wrong. And
just in case.
There's no way that's what I just saw last night. I'm going to go see this again. And it was weird because I saw it at midnight at the Vista in L.A., and then the next day I was in San Francisco, and I went to the Coronet, and everybody that was at that second screening all had the same look on their face, like, we're all going to... That wasn't what we saw yesterday. Like, we were all trying to get, like, confirmation that maybe something had gone wrong.
Tonight we're going to see the real movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, look, guys, way to go, Ashton Kutcher. Great prank. Now I'm going to actually watch the real Phantom Menace. And then, but then in the weeks afterward, my friends and I would sit around and, movie critic friends of mine and actor friends and writer friends and comedian friends, and we would just hash this movie out and argue about it back and forth. And it just struck me that, yeah, George Lucas made a bad movie. He's also made great movies, and he spent weeks and months of his life actually making a movie, be it good or bad. And I've spent weeks and months of my life just whining about this bad movie that took up 0 of my energy and 2 hours of my time. And so it's like, maybe I should start, because it reminded me of the days before I did stand-up, before I ever had the guts to go on stage and do stand-up. Like, oh, that guy's not funny. I could do that better. And it really got down to, well, then why don't you try to go do better?
As a critic, I worry, though, do you feel like that all criticism is basically pointless? People should just be out there making art? Like, do you feel like the discussion is not part of the fun?
No. That's not what I'm saying. Especially because a lot of criticism is art. If you read James Agee and Pauline Kael and Ebert, those were people putting themselves on the line, championing. Here's what they're doing is criticism. They're writing. They're standing up for smaller films that need friends. They're putting their stuff out that gets reviewed by their peers. Mm-hmm. They have to submit to an editor. They got to make sure. What I was doing was I was heckling. I'm sitting in a coffee shop with my friends, risking nothing. A critic risks everything when they really either go, it's like when Pauline Kael lost her job at Ladies' Home Journal because she wrote that review of The Sound of Music going, I'm sorry, everyone, this movie's awful. And she put up a good argument for it. I don't agree with the argument, but like, wow, she went out there, mm-hmm. And then later on had to go to bat for Bonnie and Clyde when people were saying this is filth. So, there's that. I'm not anti-criticism. I'm anti-heckling and I'm anti-whining.
You're a famed Star Wars fan fiction writer.
Yes. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Is there a Tumblr blog I don't know about where I'm having...
No.
Chewie slowly took off his bandolier. Sorry.
Everything you say about Star Wars suggests on that Parks and Rec soliloquy and just now suggests that J.J. Abrams should have already called you. Has he called you?
I know J.J. We've hung out, and I go to his. He has the coolest offices ever in L.A.
Sure.
His offices are really awesome. But I would never presume. It'd be like if I was working on a new bit and I had somebody that wasn't a comedian going, what you should talk about. So as much as, obviously I have ideas for the movies, I would never tell him. He's got his vision, I've got mine. He's actually putting his name on the line, doing it. You know, I mean, think of post the first 3 Star Wars movies, then post the prequels. It's an act of almost delirious bravery to go, all right, I'll do the next 3. Like, here we go. Like, you could not be asking for more shit. He's like going, I am asking for the most shit anyone's ever gotten doing this. So I respect that in a very weird way. And the whole Star Wars rant was not even that was a representation of terror, not knowledge. That was me. I've been a huge Parks and Rec fan from the beginning. I love that show. That show is for free 22-minute Tom McCarthy short film every week on your TV. And then they asked me to be on it. And they do a lot of riffing on that show. They do the 3 takes, and they do the fun take, where you just say whatever you want, and let's see if we use it. So all I was supposed to do was talk for 30 seconds about whatever. As I'm filibustering, they're going to cut to Amy and John Glazer talking as I'm yammering in the background. But then what they didn't tell me was that the Amy and Aziz and the director was like, just don't yell cut. Let's see how long he'll talk. So, and I thought I didn't want to get fired. I didn't want to stop before they yelled cut. So then I just started going, and apparently some people's panic response is to throw a punch or run. My panic response is to unload every bit of comic book and Star Wars knowledge I have.
Right.
Like, apparently if I'm ever being strangled to death, I'm going to use my last breath, to go, Boba Fett was the best man at Dengar's wedding in the Dark Knight, Dark Horse comic, just so it's going to be, in the Dark Horse comics, Boba Fett was the best man at Dengar's
true
wedding.
fact.
Yeah. Well, Dengar, he had his brain rebuilt, because, it was like a psychopath. And when he was rebuilt, he fell in love with this woman, and then he asked Boba Fett to be his best man.
Bring it back, Patton. Bring it back.
All right, sorry. Thank you, Dan.
All right, so we're going to go to questions in a moment. So if you have a question, you should start heading for the mic. But before we do it, I want to do a lightning round with you.
Ooh.
Ready?
Hang on. White paper. Go.
Okay. Favorite Coen Brothers movie?
Big Lebowski.
Okay. Favorite Paul Thomas Anderson?
Favorite Boogie Nights.
Favorite Pixar that is not Ratatouille?
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 2?
Yes.
2?
It's amazing. That is about raising kids and dealing with the loss of. The movie's incredible. Yes.
Favorite Wes Anderson?
Favorite Wes Anderson? Rushmore.
Okay. Children of Men or Gravity?
Children of Men.
Okay. Zero Dark 30 or Point Break? This is the toughest question you're going to face on this tour.
Point Break, because it's more fact-based.
Okay. Before sunrise, before sunset, or before midnight?
Before sunset.
Good call. If you direct a movie tomorrow, who's your dream DP?
Oh, wow. Can it be somebody from history?
Yes, like Alexander the Great.
Oh, no, I mean, I would bring back John Alton, who shot all the great 40 noirs for back at T-Man. And John Alton, that's my guy.
That's a great choice.
Yeah.
He's available.
Okay, good.
All right.
Well, there's a John Alton app now you can get.
Sure, yeah.
Everything just like
for
John
Instagram.
Yeah.
Memento or The Dark Knight?
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. All right. Finally, last question. Who is the best actress working right now?
The best actress working right now is Margot Martindale. Is amazing. She's the best actress. I love the fact that she's on television, so everyone kind of goes, well, she's great for television. No, she's actually amazing from the ground up. She's the best actress working right now. Her and no, it's her.
No, it's her. No, I didn't ask the two.
She's just edged out Frances McDormand in my book, and I love Frances, but Margot Martindale.
All right. So we have questions, and it looks like we have some people.
Damn.
So let's start here.
Hey, first, on behalf of the second row that I'm here with, we want to thank you for Constable Bob.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And then the question is if you're in the Marvel Universe and you become evil, who are you picking for your team from the Marvel Universe and from Star Wars?
Oh, putting together an evil team?
You're putting together an evil team.
Okay,
You want to know who you're going to pick.
Let's say I got 6 slots. Let's do a new Sinister Six. All right?
That works for me. Boba Fett?
Okay. I'd have MODOK for planning. He'd do the planning. I'd have Bosk and Zuckuss for stealth and muscle. They were 2 of the bounty hunters in Empire.
It's fucking amateur hour.
I'd have Sabretooth for wet work. I'd have Marvel Universe. Hang on. I'd have Typhoid Mary from the Daredevil universe because she's good at infiltration and then can just poison everybody. It would be awesome. And then I would have. Then I'd have on a big chain just a Rancor beast that we could just send in and wipe everybody out. There it is. Yeah. So, what an awful thing to be knowledgeable about. What a sad thing to be good at. Hi.
Hi. This is probably not nearly as good of a question as he just asked, but what's your favorite bit you've ever done of any kind?
What's my favorite
Stand-up bit.
Stand-up bit that I've ever done? They're all my children equally. Please don't.
Top 3?
Top 3. Okay. The thing about doing stand-up in Germany, I really like doing. The thing about the thing the William Alexander Magic of Oil painting thing, just because I just get to scream and be a psycho. And then this new one about my daughter reacting to a werewolf movie because there's like a long bit chunk of silence and then just this huge turn, and it's always thrilling to get to do that. So,
what's your least favorite stand-up bit you've ever done?
The early ones that I thought were so amazing, and I look back and go, they're just a slog. Like bits that have nothing to do with me, or like I like my women like I like my coffee tied up in a sack and thrown in the back of a donkey by Juan Valdez, like that kind of. I mean, it's clever, but
seems like you should bring it back.
No, I know. God, the thing I hate just killed. Great, thanks. Damn it! Hi.
Hi. We're from Reston, Sterling's modest little neighbor.
Oh no, Reston. Reston kills Sterling. That place is great.
I did not say that.
All right.
And, we're telling all of our library patrons that they should go and check out your book. But
no, I want them to buy it. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. No, that's great. No, they should. Thank you.
But while they're there, and they're also picking up Harlan Ellison, what else should they be picking up?
Oh, wow. Anything by Charles Portis. Anything by Willa Cather. I mean, I don't think she's written a bad book. Although, try to avoid her poetry and her letters, because she was an amazing writer, but if you read her letters, she was kind of a shitty person. She was funny, but she was really mean. She was mean in a really funny way, and I'm sorry, I love her so much. Her poetry is so bad. So there, tell them that. Tell them that Will Cather was a mean, great writer.
How many Agent Koenigs are there?
How many sands on the beach? Come on, let me be cryptic. Leave it at that. Here we go.
Howdy. I was kind of curious about your research for the book. You're going back, and so much time has passed. You became a father and all that. So when you were thinking about your mindset when you were in your late 20s, how did you think about the films you saw in a different way now that you're a little bit older?
Because that's an interesting. Yeah, I had to think back on what was crucial to me at that time, both in terms of what I wanted out of life and what I was insecure about. I was very insecure about seeming stupid. I was very insecure about seeming uncool. I very, very much wanted to be, I wanted to be seen as successful and a name. It was all chasing after very, very insecure, surfacey things. So a lot of times I viewed movies through that prism of, I'll admit, when I went to see The Seventh Seal, I saw it, partially out of I should see The Seventh Seal, but also I want to be able to say that I've seen The Seventh Seal and have that dismissive film snob, at it. And then I ended up seeing it. I was like, oh, this movie is actually really, I couldn't believe how fun and snarky and like almost Python-esque that movie is. That's the first symbol that people hold up for, like, oh, just deep, boring, foreign, important films. But that one's actually really fun.
Yeah, there are way better symbols of deep, boring.
Oh my God, yeah. La Ventura, Hiroshima, Mon Amour, last year at Marion Bad are just like, okay, I've seen it. Can I get my class credit now? But The Seventh Seal is hilarious. There were parts I genuinely laughed at. So,
what was about so you talk in the book about having your various movie guides.
Yeah.
Great movie guides, but it was very important to you to see movies in those guides and check them off. Why? Why was that like your measure? Why did you adopt that?
Because at the time, those were the movie guides that the writing in them was so good that I wanted to go back to them to reread the writing, to reread how they would describe things, the level of writing, even the little blurbs in this film noir encyclopedia, and there were like 2-line entries in the Psychotronic Encyclopedia that had so much personality in them, and you understood Michael Weldon as a person just from like one line he would write, that I wanted that to happen in my writing as well. So subconsciously, that's why I was being pulled back in. That's right. Yes?
Hey, Patton. First, I can't believe you put Zuckus on the Sinister Six without Forlom.
No. Forlom, sorry. Forlom, which stands for love of money, he's just a reprogrammed protocol droid. And I actually think that his bounty hunting skills are very, very limited. Zuckus, if you remember, has a latent psychic ability and can actually link empathetically with his victims. Sit down. All right, go ahead.
Hey, Patton, I grew up around the block from the Buggy Whip.
Oh, really?
Spent my 20s at splitting time between Vidiots and Laser Blazer.
Nice.
But as a husband and a father now, I wanted to ask, what is your relationship with, how much does your wife love movies, and how do you plan on imparting your love of movies to your child?
My parents didn't have any love of movies. They liked movies. They weren't as obsessive as I was. They weren't into science fiction or horror, and I found it myself. So, I'm going to let my daughter find the things that she loves by herself. I'm not going to try to go, all right, sit down, we got to watch The Great Escape now. Like, if she likes movies, fine, but if she gravitates towards sports or art or whatever, I just want to be there supporting them. My parents did, as alarmed as they were that, you want to become a comedian, really? But they were very much like, if that's what he wants to do, then that's what he's going to do. So, again, I'm still enjoying movies. My wife is not on the obsessive level that I am, and actually neither am I anymore. But, I have years of movie knowledge, but I'm going to let my daughter just kind of see, right now movies are okay, but she's not like drawn to, I want to go see a movie. She'd rather run around outside and ride her scooter, so let's go scooter riding.
That's easy to say, though, but what are you going to do if she ends up having terrible taste in movies?
As long as look, I have a lot of friends who have terrible taste in movies, but they're good people. I have friends who have amazing taste in movies and they're assholes. So I'd rather her just be a good person first, and then you can, watch all the Twilight movies you want, as long as you're not,
Let's talk again in 10 years. Yes, right here.
I was just wondering, do you happen to see a relationship between the rise of social media and websites like Rotten Tomatoes and the death of independent movies? Because as much as it gives a voice to critical thinking, it allows hecklers a much louder voice to say, this movie sucks because blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And if I'm a movie executive and I say, okay, I need to make that money, I need to go after a movie that everybody's going to go see, and websites like Rotten Tomatoes don't necessarily offer analytical thought so much as, this sucks.
That's true, but here's the good news. From what little I've encountered from movie executives and people who run the studios, they don't give a crap about aggregate sites and a tomato meter. They just don't care. They look at, the print critics and box office. So, if it, and unfortunately, one of the reasons independent film was dying the way that it was dying is because it fell prey to the same kind of cliches that big budget movies fell. As much as independent movies made fun of, here's another car chase where a fruit cart gets knocked over. Here's another, ticking clock scenario. For a while, independent movies fell into the, oh my God, we accidentally ripped off the mob. Right. Or, oh my God, how do we get rid of this dead body? Or a hit man on his last job. So, there was that same thing. It just has, and I actually think that especially a lot of the online stuff, it's easier. People can now kickstart their movies. But this movie, The Babadook, came out last year that was half kickstarted, basically. Same with Blue Ruin, this amazing little movie that they totally made through Kickstarter that forget the big studios, no independent outfits would touch it. So I see social media as a very, very positive thing. And people that are actually live and die by social media, they can spot the trolls. And the trolls just, they don't have it. I mean, most sites are starting to get rid of their comment section now. There was a few years people were like, oh my God, does this matter? It doesn't. Now we have hard evidence that it doesn't. So, I don't think that's going to, there's a lot of other things that are going to hurt movies. It's not going to be, it's not going to be Boba Fett 73, logging in and first, fag. Like some guy, I'm trying to imagine like the head of Columbia going, they wrote fag with 8 extra, Jesus, we got to reshoot this whole movie. There's a 13-year-old just wrote fag. What do? We got to call Scorsese. We got to reshoot it. I don't know what to do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Hi. Just out of curiosity, because it seemed to really affect you in a bit, I think, from Werewolves and Lollipops. When did you first see the movie Deathbed, the Bed That Eats People?
I first saw it I saw it online. It was on YouTube, and a friend of mine sent me a link saying, he sent me a link to the movie, and then there was a picture of Times Square that somebody randomly took in the early 70s, and there's a Grindhouse marquee, one of like 9 in a row, and Deathbed is on the marquee. So it did show in Times Square, and he was like, the premise of this. So I started watching it, and it's an unwatchable movie that nevertheless got made. And I was struggling. I had started one script and then abandoned it. I just literally couldn't finish it. And then I wrote another one as a temper tantrum for the script that I didn't finish, because the script that I was writing was a huge opportunity for a huge star, and I basically had to call that star and go, yeah, I can't, this sucks, I don't want to do it. They're like, what the fuck? I'll give the money back, I don't care. And then in the depths of my despair, I'm looking at Deathbed going, well, somebody came up with Deathbed and finished this. And my idea wasn't great, but it's not Deathbed. I could have muscled through somehow. So it was that kind of, it was all online. That was the only place to see it for a long time. And now it's on Blu-ray, for God's sake.
Hi. It's sort of understood that, like, in a person's lifetime, if they live to a ripe old age, they'll have a few true great loves of their life. Is that similar to night cafes? In your opinion, how many does a person have? Like, legitimate ones. It seems like if you have 25, like, they weren't really.
Well, you mean like a true great love as in another person, or like a passion?
Yeah, another person. Like you have these great loves in your life. Is it similar?
Yeah, you all, I can't put a number on it, because I tend to, when I fall very deeply, and there's a Morrissey lyric, there's a light that never goes out. I mean, and I think a lot of people freak out that they'll be in love with someone, or they'll be married to someone and go, oh, but I still have, you're supposed to. It's like a dying star somewhere. It's okay to still have those good memories of somebody. It doesn't mean that you're going to, just, like, I think people are all about, you're always in the middle of a Venn diagram of influences and love. So instead of looking at your great loves in terms of quantity, look at them in terms of quality of it. That's how I always, and be okay with some loves never go away, and you kind of just wink at it ruefully rather than going, Jesus, if I'm still thinking of her, what should I do? Of course you still think she was a great person, or he was a great person, or whatever. So, and enjoy what you have now, and be happy that you have good, because a lot of people, they have great loves, and all their memories of their great loves are awful. So it's actually better to have great loves that are gone, but all your thoughts about them are fantastic.
Hi, Patton.
Hi.
I just moved here from Arizona. I'm going to be working in Sterling.
Oh, dude, man, you just lost 2 lottos. Wait a minute, you were living in
I know. No, it's a great country.
Arizona and ended up in Sterling?
They got an Alamo
It's
there
cold
now,
here.
Patton. They got an Alamo draft house there.
What sheriff did you piss off? Are you?
It was actually by choice.
There is a draft house in Ashburn, though, so there's a cinema draft house. So.
Thank you for the book. It's going to go right next to my copy of Ethel the Aardvarker's Quantity Surveying. The question I have for you is, I also have a love of filmmaking. Well, I would love to get into filmmaking, and I was wondering if you were open to bringing on somebody that's as inexperienced and just as passionate. I've got a great story. I think you'd be a great lead in. And the villain is going to be Alan Dean Foster, who wrote Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
I know what Alan Dean Foster wrote, sir. Excuse me. I know that he wrote Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Look, I can barely handle my own day-to-day. I can't have a staff. That would be terrible. I would only end up abusing you, so I'm not going to put you through that.
I'm open to abuse. You see where I'm going to be working.
See, that's even creepier. No, that's a huge no. Wow, you blew it. All right. Sorry.
So, which obscure superhero or villain do you think should have their own movie?
I wish somebody would do a James Ellroy-style Chinatown Roman Polanski version of the Golden Age Sandman, Wesley Dodds, who was it's very dark, very gritty, and it's also a guy, because he's the first superhero, he doesn't really understand what it is he's doing yet. That would be really cool. Almost do it Deadwood style, where you show, he's a DC character, so show the beginnings of, just little hints, little Easter eggs of Superman and, Batman, the way the universe, it started off with this kind of chubby guy in an overcoat and a gas mask going up against serial killers. It's a great comic book series, Sandman Mystery Theater that DC put out. Go get them. They're fantastic. It'll be an amazing movie. I'd also like to see I know they won't do it this way, but if they're going to do this Doctor Strange movie with Benedict Cumberbatch, which, yay, but wouldn't it be awesome if they set it in early 60s New York during like the time of Warhol and Greenwich Village and that whole era, and then at the end he goes through some kind of magic wormhole and he ends up now just like with Captain America, but do a superhero movie set during that time. That would be fantastic.
Are you an Astro City fan?
Yes. But Astro City should be an HBO or Showtime series, not a movie. That's got to be an ongoing series.
Yeah.
Astro City's great too. So is that a good answer? Cool. All right. Thanks, man.
Patton, in the era that you write about in your book, it was a time when Hollywood studios would invest a lot more in spec scripts. And
yes.
My question is, do you ever see a resurgence in spec scripts as in terms of studios making original properties, or are original properties now more relegated to independent features and studios will only do something original if Chris Nolan is behind it?
No, there's still a blacklist. It's called the blacklist, where they have the best unproduced spec scripts that are floating around. But what sucks right now is that the studios are under so much duress that it just takes some political finesse to unlock the money to get one of those done. Every now and then they'll do one.
So the Bride, is that the next spec script?
Which one?
You May Miss the Bride.
Oh God, I hope not. That was actually, I based that on a script I was rewriting. It was pretty much that bad. If you read my first book, I do a whole this chapter full of notes for a movie that doesn't exist called You May Miss the Bride, about a groom that gets amnesia, or no, the bride gets amnesia. It's this awful comedy. It was based on a movie that I was actually punching up that was even worse. But again, they want high concept. Can we sell the movie with the poster? But the more knowledgeable you are about their restrictions and their fears, the easier you can get your stuff through. So spec scripts are still happening. They're just not getting made as much. But people are paying for them, so that's good. I have friends who have swimming pools from 20 scripts that they sold and never got shot. So there are millionaire scriptwriters out there who've never had their name on a screen.
You've sold 3, according to the book, right?
I've sold 3.
Yeah.
Oh, God, they're terrible. All right.
Thank you.
We have time for 2 more questions, and then we'll move right into the book signing.
Okay, cool.
Sweet. Made it. Hey, thanks so much for coming out to D.C.
Thank you.
So you talked a lot tonight and in the book about how in your 20s there is this kind of frantic desire to be liked and to be good and to
Yeah.
be perfect. And I'm in the middle of that, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm wondering if you ever struggled with having all those feelings kind of stagnate you and crush you to the point where you just couldn't do anything. And if so, how you kind of overcame that and produced stuff anyway.
First off, if I was getting crushed or falling into blackness, I would just let myself fall even further just to see how deep it went. And then usually on the other side, there's this glowing door called exasperation where you're like, well, fuck this. I'm going to go on stage or just write a page or so. Like, you get to the point where you can start laughing at how not pathetic, pathetic it is. And so you almost have to embrace your own darkness and chaos. And you got to learn to laugh at it. You've got to learn to laugh. Instead of being outraged and panicked. It's one thing that, again, as progressive and liberal as I am, it's the one thing that drives me crazy about us progressives and liberals is we have now become, we are outraged and speechless and we can't even. And I'm like, how about a little less gasping and outrage and a little more counterpunching and laughing from our side? I'd like a lot more of that. So go on YouTube tonight and watch a scene from Deadwood. It's Al Swearengen's Advice on Life. You know the scene I'm talking about where he's talking to the newspaper man? That will change the way you look at things. It's 2 minutes long. You'll thank me later. Okay.
Given the dark, obsessive nature with which you describe your film obsession during this time, how much of that experience went into Paul from Staten Island?
You know what was really weird was that as much as you would think I'd have an easier time doing that, but here's what was weird about Paul from Staten Island is that he has absolutely no inner life. The only reason he exists is to absorb the sports stats and victories and losses of his team.
For context, this is the character you played in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The movie I was in called Big Fan about an obsessive sports fan. He doesn't have the verbal capacity to articulate his inner life, to articulate his feelings. So it was actually hard for me to play a guy because my first instinct is to make a joke or have something to say. And there were early scenes where I would riff stuff and the director had to go, this guy does not have these tools. You've got to shut that down and just never have anything clever or smart to say. And that was really hard because that's always been a defense mechanism for me. So it's weird. I understood the fuel. We had the same fuel, but he's got no spark to ignite it. And that was the difference between us. It was really weird to do that.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.